Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the Cyber Gizmo, I'm going to be looking at some first steps that you might consider after installing a new distribution. This comes from a suggestion that was made by Alan Pope. Alan was at one time the chief architect, I believe, for Canonical's Ubuntu. So he's now working for a database company, I believe, but he made a suggestion for us YouTubers that, hey, it's great that you guys are talking about all these great distributions, but you don't ever tell anybody what to do after you install it. Well, yeah, it's a good idea. So I'm trying to fulfill some of that today. I have a video. I will put a link to it in the card where you can go back that actually walks you through how to determine what you need to do with and what kind of distro you need to run based on what you're looking for. Now, it doesn't cover games. I think most people would tell you that if you're running games, there are some good ones that run under Linux, but for the most part, you're probably going to find it painful. It's getting better. It's getting better. I'm not a gamer. I do play some games, but they're so old. Yeah, they'll run on Linux, no problem. It's the new ones you have to watch out for. But anyway, that's what we're going to do today. And so stay tuned. We're going to dive in and take a look at, I think it's around 18 or 19 different things that you can do. And I'll go through an explanation as to why you might want to do those or not. So these are just suggestions. They're certainly not, I'm not saying you must do this or else your system will blow up in 30 days. It won't, except for the one about backup. If you're not doing a backup, you deserve whatever happens to you on any operating system. So yeah, backups. And also the second part of that is that once you've done a backup, test it. Make sure that it works. Why am I saying that? Been there. Got the scars from that. So early on in my career, I made that mistake. It was costly. It was painful. Cost about a week of work of about 10 people. I'll tell you what it was. We were working on converting a mainframe inventory program over to Linux. And the thing that we were working on was we were putting it into an Oracle database. So we were moving it off of a mainframe database called DMS2 and bringing it over into a database that was under Oracle. So was it Oracle? Maybe not. But anyway, it was a database. We were loading it, and we were having some problems with the data because it didn't. People are sloppy. They don't always put the right things in the right field, and so some people were manually entering some of the data that was missing that the system required. I had a part-time guy that was working for me. He was going in to make some changes to the database to add some additional fields that the customer wanted. And he had a drop database script in his command. Now, we had been backing up the system. So we thought we had a good tape backup. And as it turned out, the tape drive was not actually writing. So when we went, after he did the drop database, we went back to restore it. Well, there was nothing to restore. And there was nothing ever written on the tape. So, yeah. Make sure that you always check your database, any kind of a backup to make sure that it is working before you move on and say, I'm fine, I'm good to go. You're not good to go unless you've tested it. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get started and see what we can do to help make your life easier in setting up your Linux distro. Today we're going to be, as I said, we're going to be looking at some of the things you can do after you install a distribution. And I'm going to concentrate first on Fedora. If you like these videos, let me know in the comments below. These are just my thoughts on some of the things that you can do to take the first steps after you've installed a new distribution. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. So I have Fedora Workstation 36. This is the stock out-of-the-box one. But one thing I would suggest to you, there are a number of spins for Fedora that you can bring it up in KDE, XFCE. There's a number of desktop environments that you can choose from. I would say base it around the application space of what you're interested in running. If the applications are KDE, then run KDE as your desktop. If you're trying to mix things, if you're trying to use GNOME, for example, and you're trying to run KDE apps, well, that may work. You may run into problems. So, yeah, I mean, it's never a good idea to try to mix things, although we always do it because we don't know any better, and we install applications that we're not certain what they're really for. So, my thought is if you're looking for applications to replace ones you're currently using, then use Flatpaks to do that. Because Flatpaks you can remove easily without damaging your core build of your system. So, I mean, or app images or even snaps to do that. So, whatever of those is your favorite to use, then do that. But that would be my suggestion. That way you can remove it cleanly without disturbing your base operation and your base operating system. All right, so what do we do first? So this is Fedora, and Fedora does install SSH by default, which is secure shell that allows you to open up an encrypted channel for communications, a terminal window, if you will, between one system and another, and it keeps it encrypted so that anything that's passing along that channel over the network can't be viewed easily unless the person has your keys. So they have your keys, yeah, then they can see exactly what you're doing, but you want to protect that. So, all right, the first thing I want to do is to get secured shell enabled. Now, it is installed on Fedora, but what we need to do is to enable it. So first I need to get my IP address of where I am at, so I know what system I want to connect to. And then I'll do a system control status on SSHD. And I'm going to put in my user password. And I think I screwed it up. I did. So already, before we even get started, I've already done it. So it's inactive, it's dead. So what we need to do is to start it. So let's do that first. Now this is only good for a one time, so I'm going to enable it. That way, if the system gets rebooted, this service will be restarted automatically. So I don't have to, every time I reboot to remember to start the SSHD service. So now let's check it again. Make sure that, oops, that shouldn't matter. I wanted that one. But it shows it's up and running. It's listening on port 22, and we're all good here. So I'm going to attempt to log in. This is my local machine. And why am I doing this? Well, I have some things I need to create over here, and it requires a copy-paste. I am running under a VM, and this particular one is just using the no VNC client, so I don't have a copy-paste environment that I can actually use. If I was, yeah, so. And let's just make sure. I think I said it was 113. Okay, 113. And then this has been used before, so I need to clear the old key that's in my local host file. And now it should ask me, say, oh, I don't know what this is. And so, yeah, ask for a new fingerprint. Okay, so we're in. And so what do we do first? So what do we do first is, the very first thing you should do is update your system. So let's do that. I'll be back. This is going to take probably some time. It's 17 minutes after midnight, and we'll come back and check out what's going on here with this. It took us about 6 minutes or so to get all that done. Usually a restart is required, especially if you see this, where you have, let me get my cursor back over here. We've updated the kernel. We're currently running looks like we're currently running 517.5, and yeah, that's a few patches up. So we're going to go ahead and reboot this. If you're going to install non-free software or proprietary software, you're going to need to enable the Fusion free and non-free installation. So I think what I'm going to do is, just to make sure that I have them all, is I have a script here. And in that script, I add two repos. This is the RPM Fusion free, and that is associated with this particular release of Fedora 36. And this one is the non-free. So we're going to add those. Actually, I don't have to. It will prompt me for the password because sudo is in the first part of the line. Okay, this is the first command to put in the free, and then it'll get that done. And now it's going to do the non-free. Okay, so that's done. The other thing that we're going to want to do is this. So the default repos for Fedora use a curated version of the FlatHub. So these are curated applications that the Fedora development team picks for us. However, I'd like to have a wider selection of them, so I'm going to actually install the full repo for FlatHub. And to do that, I need to run this command. And that should give me this this ability. Then the next thing we want to do is, I'd like to configure DNF to be a little faster. So I need to go over here to Etsy DNF, and you will need to be root to edit this file. So what do I need here? So the first thing I need is, I want to pick the fastest mirror. The second thing I want to do is, I'd like delta RPMs when possible, which means it's just going to send me the changes. And then I would like to run more than one download at a time. So you can set this to whatever you want, 5, 8. I'm going to set it to 10. I have quite a bit of bandwidth, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and set mine to 10. Next step, I need multimedia plugins, because I am going to be using this system to edit videos and play back videos, as well as be able to handle different audio codecs that are embedded both in the video and standalone that I'm using to incorporate with it. So I have this. So I'm going to... It's amazing that how many of these are installed by VLC. So a real quick way to shortcut installing all of the codecs, or some of them anyway, is to do this. And then you can pick up these additional ones like GStreamer, H264, and so forth. And then Lame, which is MP3. So yeah, we'll go ahead and... And you'll notice that was a lot faster in doing the search. So this is just the VLC package, the first line in the code of the shell script. Now, if you're looking for these, I'll put these out on my GitLab page for you if you want to use mine. I remember, these are just suggestions. This is not a definitive guide to everything that you should do to make your system optimized. They're just some things that I like to do. I've learned over the years, and I'm sharing them with you. Okay, and then this is the GStream and H264. So yeah, we're picking up all those packages. Get that one done. This seems a little quicker. You can see that it's picking up the fastest mirror. It's even telling me right here as it's looking for the fastest mirror. So that's nice. So that is working. And it does seem a lot faster than it did when I did that massive update. Maybe I should have done this first and then did the update. That probably would have helped. Okay, So I have a pretty good set of codecs installed now. Now, if you run into trouble with these, remember that Fedora 36 is running by default under Wayland. Some of these do not behave well under Wayland, and you may encounter errors that'll pop up on the screen that say, that it may say some things like, I don't know, after installing the codecs, you may start seeing errors pop up when you open up video files or music files or even audiobooks. If you see that, just log off. Just do this. We'll just go ahead and do it so you can follow along. And just log out here. And then select your user and then this gear. Just select GNOME on org. Yeah, Wayland still has a few. It needs a little bit more work, I think. It's come a long way, but okay. So at this point, you're ready to install whatever applications you want. I can't answer that for you on which applications that you're going to need installed. So, but I do know what I want. So I'll do mine. I want HTOP. I know I'm so weird. HTOP, NeoFetch, Glances. I don't need to install Get. It's already here. And we'll go ahead and put this out. Yeah, that is much quicker. That is much quicker. Let's see how many packages we have actually installed on the system. Wow, almost 2,000, 1,901 RPM packages. And that does include LibreOffice, so that is on here. Chris Titus over at Chris Titus Tech did a video where he suggested starting from the server version and then installing only what you need. Now that requires a bit more knowledge of the system than you may want to delve into, but you can certainly follow his video if you want to really cut this down. He managed to get that down, I think, to just under 1,000 packages. So he did cut it quite a ways. He did cut it in half, so not bad. Yeah, we're already up at 1.2 gig, and let's check Glances to make sure that's working. And 1.55 with the app caches. And let's see, Get. That's, as I said, it's there. As far as what other applications you may need, you can look through. You can look through the catalogs here, and I'll kind of show you what I was talking about. So let's see. Let's say we want to be more creative. Maybe we're probably going to be looking for GIMP and Ink. Okay. So let's see what we got here. There's Inkscape. There's GNU. There's GIMP. So you'll notice that by default up here it's showing you what packages. This is going to install a traditional RPM package. If I want to use Flatpak, I can do that here. Now this one is coming from the curated. This one, the DL, that one is coming from the FlatHub. So if you want the curated one, you may run into differences in versions in the package. I have not tested this to see which ones do and which ones don't. But you can see the version number. It's 2.10.30. Let's see if there is any difference between them. There shouldn't be, but there could be. 2.10.30. So they're identical. So it doesn't really matter which one you pick. The advantage to using, as I said, the advantage to using the DL FlatHub is that there are more packages added out there than in this curated list. So, but okay, so I'm going to install the Flatpak version of that. And then we'll see just how fast this comes up. This is fairly substantial, I guess. Yeah, it is fairly substantial. Remember, this is a VM. It's running on an Intel NUC. It is a Core i10. It is a 8-core, 16 threads, 64 gig of memory is on the box. This is running on my test version of Proxmox, not on my production. So I don't do this kind of stuff on production. I leave production alone. Okay, so we're up. Let's go ahead and see how long it takes to come up. A few seconds to bring it up. This is not terrible. Yeah, it's not terrible. I could probably do some things to help this, like get out of the store for one thing. But yeah, so whatever applications you want, then you're really bringing in the things that you want to play with. And like I said, if you are experimenting with packages and you don't want to leave a long trail of problems, use FlatHub to do that. And then once you've determined that that's a package you want to use and it's not going to, bring down the entire KDE library or Qt and install it on your system, you can do that. So anyway, so that's about, I don't have anything I can tell you about that. Although, I should have stayed in there because we really need a couple more. If you want to search this, my only complaint about these stores is you can only install one package at a time, which, the command line is more powerful. You can install more than one package in a go. So let's see. I need Tweaks. And I am going to install the RPM for this. And then the other one I need is extension. Some people will probably tell you, well, wait a minute, you're running GNOME 4.4.2. You probably shouldn't be installing these because, and I'll show you when it comes up. It will definitely warn you. It'll say, hey, what are you doing? Let's go ahead and bring this one up. Let me show you where that is first, if you're looking for it after the fact, so that you don't have to keep going for it. It always installs Tweaks over here in Utilities. So, and you can pin that if you want, but see right here it says, hey, that's moved to extensions. And they also recommend running extensions from FlatHub if your distribution does not include it. So, all right, fair enough. Let's go correct the problem then. I'm going to go ahead and continue that. Let me just close this up and we'll go back into the store and we will get rid of extensions and we'll do it their way, okay? I'll go to install and then I'll just look down here for, there's my extensions, and we will trash that. It should come back with an install. This time we'll change it. Let's do well, first of all, let's see if there's, again, any difference. This is version 42.0. I'm going to guess it's going to be the same. But it may not be. You never know anymore. 41 RC. So, okay, there's your difference. That's a release candidate. So you can see the latest packages are always, for FlatHub, it's always going to be on the FlatHub. So, yep. DL FlatHub. So look for that. Like I said, you never know how they mix packages anymore. They just, I shudder every time I see this. It's just, that is a bad practice and they need to stop that. That is how you create what we used to call a Frankenstein distribution. If you start mixing too many versions, you end up in a train wreck. Now that's taken quite a bit more time to install. There it goes. Maybe the hub's busy. Something is going on. What are y'all doing? It's late. Go to bed. Y'all go to bed. Okay, let's take a look at the extensions here. And I'll show you where extensions is too. It'll be on the second page here, right there. Right there. All right. So down here on the Windows, you'll notice it didn't come up with a warning again. So title bars. So here at the title bars, I can pick maximize and minimize. So I can add those buttons. That's maximize. See? And then this one will minimize it. Or so that would be two things I would do there after you install that. As far as, well, let's take care of a couple things while we're here. Let's like this one. Let's get that dealt with. And the other thing you'll probably want to do is on your display is if you have trouble sleeping at night, it's just blue light. So if you turn on the night light, it'll cast a gold color, which will prevent that. We look for privacy. That's right there. And I'm looking for, here we go. So a couple things you can do here. Why do they have this in here? Because things will kind of park in the trash content folders, and many documents have been exfiltrated right out of somebody's trash. So if I automatically delete, it won't. It isn't an incinerator, but it'll wait 30 days before it burns whatever's in there. So it's only going to burn something that's been sitting in the trash folder for 30 days. So you could have 20 files in there, and if only one of them is 30 days old, then it only deletes one. But you can modify that to whatever you want. Yeah, you could pretty much turn it almost into an incinerator. Oh, this. So you'll have to decide, this is sending technical reports to the Fedora Linux team. So this is like what we would call telemetry if you turn that on. Because any programs that have any kind of problems, it's going to be sending it back to Fedora. If you want to do that, that's fine. But a lot of us consider that telemetry. So I'm going to turn mine off. You can do whatever you like. One thing that I like to do is, you see how it's sorting my folders and my files that are mixed in alphabetical order? Well, I don't like that. So I'm going to go down here to Preferences, and I'm going to do a Sort Folders Before Files. And then you'll notice that my folders sort out first and then followed by my files. It just makes it a lot easier, especially if you have a lot of files in your home directory. It makes it a heck of a lot easier to find things. So up here you have these power settings. See how it says balanced? So I can set it to power saver or balanced. If I'm on a laptop and I am on a battery, I probably would want the system to prolong that battery for as long as possible so I can get the most use out of it. If I'm running balanced, I'm basically telling the system to take all the power it needs to run whatever load it's under. Also, if I bring up the settings, which brings you back into your settings here, you can change your screen blank and your automatic suspend. If I am traveling with a laptop, I do turn that on occasionally. So yeah, you can set it on and then tell it how long to wait before setting your system into idle, and the same with screen blank. You can set it to never, which of course means it's going to be taking all the power in order to display. The only other thing I would suggest is Fedora comes with a firewall as well, and it is the Red Hat firewall, so it is a good one. If you're looking for some way to manage your system in more of a GUI or a web-based format, you might look at Cockpit. Cockpit has a number of features in it to allow you to administer your system using a graphical user interface. And you probably have seen me do this more than once. I always go out to opt here. Oops. Should you harden a system that you are using every day? My answer to that is that depends. If that server never leaves your house and you're not worried about, and you have it in such a way that no one could gain access to the system, that is, you have some kind of password on the hard drive, probably would be all right. But if you're taking a laptop out and you're going to McDonald's or your favorite coffee shop and you're connecting to a Wi-Fi network, yeah, you're you're in the Wild West there. So anyway, you probably have seen me do this every time I have reviewed a distro. It is a tool that allows you to audit your system. So is this the only tool you should use? Hell no. But it's a good place to start going down the path. Now, I have done several videos that if you're using Debian or Ubuntu, that there is a tool that Ubuntu has that will automate a lot of the manual work that Linus, all it does is it tells you what's wrong, and then it has some recommendations on what to do to fix it, but it doesn't fix it for you. If you want the commercial version of Linus, then it does automatically fix the things for you. But yeah, typical, right? It's, hey, what do you want for free? I mean, it's open source. You can go and modify it, I guess, any way you want. But yeah, so this will give you a kind of an idea, a snapshot. This is for those of you that have never seen this. It generates a security scan index or a hardening index. This is based on 100, and it tells you how many tests and how many plugins. Now, plugins, it depends on what you have installed, what it will actually go and look at. So, yeah, the larger your security footprint or your attack surface, as we all prefer to say, then the more kinds of things that it will find. So you'll notice I have some warnings here. It says I have a firewall that's installed, but I'm apparently not using it because there's no rules in it. And it's saying you might want to go populate that. Also, there's some advice here. Yeah, System D. Yeah, you'll never get rid of that one. You'll grow old and gray before you fix all the problems in there. Just trust me, been there. So anyway, you can go down through here, and this information right here, if you click on that, it will take you to a browser page that will explain what it found. There's also a detailed log that it puts in var as to what all these things are and what specifically the problem is. Now, this one is telling you exactly what's going on. It's saying, well, you need to go in and set this variable up with that value set. Instead of having it set to yes, set it to no. Yeah, don't allow TCP/IP forwarding. But again, it depends on what your use case is. I mean, don't take this as gospel. It's just saying if you want to have the maximum hardening on your system, make it totally unusable for you. I mean, that's that's the whole goal of hardening. It isn't to make your system more secure. It's to make it impossible for you to use it. So we've been through the steps. So we looked at kind of some of the suggestions that I have on some of the kinds of things you might want to do in order to make your system a little bit more performant, maybe make it a little bit more secure. Certainly getting the system up to date is always the first thing you should do. There are a number of things that happen during an update process. First is security patches are applied. The second is bugs are fixed. And so we want both of those to be done so that we don't have something that could be exploitable, out there, or we're carrying around with us something that could be used to harm others, as well as be able to exfiltrate data on our systems as well. So yeah, if you're there's a lot more you should do if you're on a laptop, but I'm not covering laptops specifically today. If you're interested in that, leave me a note. I'll consider it. There's just laptops are a lot more difficult to deal with because you're dealing with protocols that basically are insecure, inherently insecure. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this today. If you did, again, please let me know in the comments what kinds of things you do, and share those so that all of us can benefit from it, myself included. I would love to hear it. Also, if there is some particular distro that you're not sure how what I did fits what you're doing, let me know. And we'll take a look at that, and maybe either I'll answer it in a comment or do another video on it and cover it. Anyway, hope to see you all again real soon, and bye for now.